We will just wait for 2 minutes and then we will start off. It is 11 by then and we will immediately start. So, yes, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Communication Mastery, the art here in essential workplace communication. So, what are we going to do today? First and foremost, we are just going to get a little bit better in our communication. It's not that we are not good, it's not that we are not practicing it, but at times it so happens that even though we know what to do, we don't put it into action. So, we are going to get into basic communication mastery today to help you a little bit with written communication, verbal communication, and virtual communication. And the most important thing, how to give and receive feedback. Now, before I begin the entire thing, there is one thing I need you all to be clear with. That is, speaking in English and communicating are two different things. So there is this misconception that what do you call, if you can't speak well in English, you are not a good communicator. So that is not true at all. You just need to know the right way to communicate. English matters a little, but it does not stop you from being a good communicator. So, before we begin, a big thank you to Atulit Academy, Career Mind, and Clear Concepts Coaching for sponsoring us for this webinar today. And I really appreciate that all of you have taken out 1 hour in your life to come and attend this webinar. So, who are we? Over to Megha. Megha, let people know who you are.
Okay. Good morning, everyone, once again. I hope you all are doing well.
Good morning. Yes.
Yeah, I am Megha Pawar, a certified soft skill and corporate trainer with 20 years of experience in communication, leadership, and professional development. As a trainer, I help individuals refine their language and interpersonal skills for workplace success. This was about me. Now, let us know something about Radhika also. Over to you, Radhika.
Yes. So, who am I? I am Radhika Kotha. I have been in the training industry from the past 23 years. I am adept. I'm an adept corporate trainer and business communication coach, and I started with children, and I got promoted to training college students, and then after that, I started training employees and then managers and so on and so forth. But this entire journey has been wonderful and fruitful. And the biggest thing that I notice everywhere is if you master basic communication, three-fourths of your battle is won. So, what are we going to do today? Megha, can we change the slide? So, we are going to look into how to craft a good email, how to, verbally, how can we be good at conflict resolution? Conflict resolution is a huge topic. But at the end of the day, if you know the basics first, see, always, even when you learnt English or even when you learn a particular language, it so happens that you start from ABCDs, right? So, in the same way, when you want to learn about a certain concept, you have to start with the basics. Until and unless you start implementing the basics, you will not become a master with later on approaches. So, today we are going to look into the basics of all these. Before we begin, a little bit of waking you up. And for this, I would like Megha to take over. Megha? Megha, can you hear me, please?
Okay. I hope I'm audible to you all.
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
Is Megha
Okay.
visible to
But
all of
before
you?
I start with
You
this
are
fun activity, I want you all to switch on your cameras, keep yourself on mute, and whenever required, please unmute yourself.
So I need a small request from, I have a small
yeah,
request
yeah.
from
Yes,
all of
yes.
you. Can you,
Visible. Yeah.
yeah, so can you see Megha, please? Can you see Megha on your screens?
Yes, we can see.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So my request is please switch on your camera so that in that will give us more. I will feel more connected to you all. Okay. So before we dive into today's session, let's kick things off with a fun activity. Okay. It's a morning, 11 o'clock. All of us are very fresh. And to get that energy, I want you all to get that energy for this webinar. So to start with, we have fact or fiction activity. This is a very simple game. I hope you all will like it. I will read out a statement and you have to decide whether it's a fact or fiction. Type fact in the chat if you think it's true or fiction if you think it's false. Okay? I will then reveal the correct answer and share a quick explanation. Now let's see how sharp your instincts are. We have five statements over here. You could see them on your screen also. They are visible on your screen. So let's get started. Here's your first statement. The average person speaks around 16,000 words per day. Please be quick and type whether it's a fact or fiction. Fact, fact, fact. Good. Okay. Fact or extrovert fiction or okay, good response. I like the way you are giving response. Yeah, be like this only for the whole webinar. Yes, good energy. Yes, I should reveal the answer. It's a fact. Even the research shows that average range of the words a person speaks around is 15 of 16,000 only. Okay. Yeah, you are correct. Moving on to the next.
Ochinaka.
Hand
Ochinaka.
gestures. Hand gestures while speaking make you seem less confident. What is this?
Ochina తలుపు తెరుక.
Fact, okay. Ashok says fact. Prasanna, fiction. Sri Krishnan, fiction. Okay, please type your answers, whether it is right, wrong, whatever it is.
ఈ
Just I
తలుపు
want your
తెరిచినప్పుడు అందరినీ
involvement in
వైఫై ఆఫ్
this.
చేయమని చెప్పు నా కనెక్షన్.
Okay, let me reveal the answer. Yes, those who have written fiction, you are right. It's a fiction. Actually, strategically, hand gestures make you appear more confident and persuasive. Okay, moving on to next sentence. Smiling while speaking on the phone, which we are, yeah, most of the time we keep on. Nowadays we use our phones a lot. So do you also smile when you speak on phone? So tell me whether smiling while speaking on phone can make you sound friendlier. True, fact, yeah, everyone is so much habitual of using phones. So yes, a smile affects your vocal tone and makes you sound more engaging. Moving on to the next. The human brain processes images 60 times faster than text. Tell me whether it is fact. Okay, fact. Prasanna says fact. Bindu says fact. SK says fact. Sri Krishnan fact. Okay. You all are right. The visuals are more effective in
బెటర్ పక్కన
communication
ఉండు.
than words alone. Yes. And I think all of you like watching movies. But just try to recollect whenever you watch a movie after 48 hours, you are able to recollect visuals or
స్క్రీన్
verbal
షేర్
things.
చేయడం.
So, keeping that in mind, tell me whether people remember only 10% of what they hear after
అది
48 hours.
పోతుంది.
This statement is fact or fiction. Okay, Bindu says fact. Okay, Prasanna says fiction. Actually, it's a fact. Thank you for your responses. It's a fact. This is known as forgetting curve. Without reinforcement, most information fades quickly. Yes. Okay, that was fun. Really fun. I enjoyed having this activity with you all. You also gave your answers very energetically and spontaneously. Very good. And with this, I hope you discovered some interesting insights about communication. Remember, effective communication isn't just about what we say, but also how we express it. Now, let's carry this enthusiasm forward as we explore the art of email writing. To help us master the art of professional email writing, let me now hand it over to Radhika.
Thank you, Megha. Thank you for the lovely waking up. All of us needed that today. And so, without further ado, let's just dive into crafting the email. The first and foremost thing that we come across is how to, what do you call, type the correct email, right? It is very essential that we know the basic rules. What you are seeing over here is a poorly written email. Now, I'm giving you 1 minute. Just look at it and just in your inbox, type what is wrong with the email. We are just going to, I don't want the right way of writing it. I want you to look at the email and I want you to let me know what is wrong with this. Your time starts now. Okay. Yes, Tina, subject line, Ashok, hi, not acceptable. Abhijit, shortcuts not allowed. Prasanna, the message. Okay. Incomplete information, short forms. Oh, lovely. You're just coming up with lovely answers. Absolutely. Yes. Yes, Sonal. Subject line, repetition of issue. Short forms to be avoided. Most of them are orders. Yes, excellent. So, first thing is vague subject line. You are just saying request. What are you requesting for? Are you requesting for a cup of coffee? Are you requesting for a report? Or are you requesting some kind of invitation somewhere? So, when a person is looking at your inbox, they don't know what you are actually pointing at. Then, if you are actually looking at it, lack of recipient's name. Correct? We have just said hi. We have not used the participant's name. Now, if we don't know the participant's name, what do we do? We will see it in the next slides. So, the second thing is hi is incomplete. It is not directed towards anybody. And yes, like most of you pointed out, ASAP and R. I think these are, they just put R. And then please. Abbreviations are not at all professional. Please understand that this is either Instagram language or WhatsApp language, which is not at all to be used when you are drafting a professional email. Next. Now, here, please send me the report. Now, when you read this message, do you understand what kind of report is being asked? Yes or no? Do you understand?
No, no,
No,
no.
we don't know.
There is no
Very
specific
vague.
request actually.
Yes. It's very vague, not specific. And somebody pointed out in the chat box when you say need it urgently, it means that you are using a rude tone. This is written rude tone for emails. Verbally, we sound rude. But when you are writing emails, when you say need it urgently without any kind of request, when you are demanding it, it means that yes. If it is the industry jargon, definitely yes, we can use it. But if it is the industry jargon, but normally professionally we don't use it. Like PFA is something which is commonly used. Please find attached. So that is acceptable. So ASAP is very, very specific to organizations. So we cannot delve into it. If it is used in an organization, yes, most welcome. But then if you are sending it to a client, it does not work out. I will answer all the questions once we finish the entire explanation. Like it's a request from my side that note down your question and answers, and in the Q&A section, we will definitely pay heed to it because the flow of the webinar, we are very time bound right now. We have to finish a lot in 1 hour. So in the end, in the Q&A, I will answer all your questions. Yes. So, last but not the least, coming back to the email in front of you, when you are saying check the numbers, what numbers do you mean? What issues are you asking that person to look for? So, basically, this entire email is very, very vague. So, how do you make it into a correctly written email? What do we need to do for that? The first and foremost thing that we need to do is Mega, can we have a slide change? Yes, thank you. Right. If you're actually looking at the subject line, urgent request for monthly sales report. So the moment at any given time, especially when it is corporate, you have about 30 mails ready in 1 minute for you to open. So your subject line needs to immediately tell the opposite person what you mean. Like, for example, if you see the emails that have been sent to you by Communication Mastery, in the subject line, it was written link to the webinar. So, directly when you look at the webinar, you know that we have sent the link. You don't have to go deeper into the mail and immediately you feel like opening it. So when you say urgent request for monthly sales report, now the opposite person immediately knows that you are asking for the sales report. Immediately. Dear recipient name, proper greeting is being done over here. If you don't know the recipient name, use sir/ma'am. Now, in certain organizations, dear they don't use. So there you can say hi, but with either the recipient name or with sir or ma'am. The option is there over there. And then you're starting the entire, no matter how busy you are, no matter what deadlines you have, no matter how irritating you feel that you need to reply to the opposite person, you have to start it with a proper greeting like, I hope you are doing well. I hope everything is all right. That is compulsory. It's like mandatory. No matter what the situation, even when you are fighting with the opposite person, because you have to start it professionally. That is one thing. Second thing is ensure that you are requesting instead of demanding. Something like, could you please share the monthly sales report instead of saying, need the monthly sales report. That doesn't suffice. It's just like, I'm opening a window and just shouting at the opposite person saying that, come, give me this. So it's not acceptable. You have to be polite over there. You have to write it polite over there. So here you need to request. If you're actually seeing, additionally, I have noticed some discrepancies in the figure from last month. Here, ensure you add one particular sentence about the specific of the email. Now, please add only one sentence, maximum two sentences. Don't add more than that, because it then what you are asking for gets missed out. Sometimes, what you call professionally at office, also we receive mails where it is paragraphs. What you want is written in paragraphs. It gets very difficult for the opposite person to understand what you are actually asking. So, make it short, and ask for that particular thing, and what do you call, use a professional tone for it. Ensure that you don't use abbreviations as we discussed previously, and you don't use rude tones. Encourage responses from the opposite person, wherein you are telling them, please let me know if you need any further assistance. Here you are, this is called open communication. You are opening the communication with the opposite person, saying that I have sent you something. If after this also you have any questions, get back to me. All these sentences you don't have to by heart. You just need to know where to put, when to put. You just need to know, at the end of the day, you just need to know, what do you call, take the help of chat gpt if you want the correct english. But just understand that you need to have a clear subject line, you need to have a proper greeting, you need to politely request, you need to be specific with details, use a professional tone, and then encourage response. These are the essentials of writing an email. Now, the next thing that we are going to go into is how to handle emails which are related to complaints, conflicts, or when you actually need to escalate the situation to your manager. Like if a client has complained or if a customer has complained, how do you reply? First and foremost, stay calm and professional. You should not use a rude tone. It's something like, I don't understand your request. We already sent the report, is not something you reply with. You use something like, I understand your concern regarding this report. Let me look at it and get back. So you have to use that tone. Acknowledge the issue. It is very very important that you acknowledge that the opposite person is having a problem. That means in your email you will not mention something like, we are not responsible for the delay. You will say something like, I understand that there has been a delay and it has caused inconvenience to you, and we are sorry. So acknowledge that something has happened, acknowledge that we are having a problem. Gather your facts before responding. Now, all of us have different deadlines, all of us are forever busy in our lives, right? So when we are forever busy, sometimes we feel that we know what the issue is, but it slips. For the usual mails, it is okay. But at the end of the day, when it is important that, what do you call, you have to send a mail, a return mail for a complaint or a problem, or when you have to escalate it to your manager, double check the facts. Even if you know the answer, double check the facts and then reply. That is another thing. Offer a definite solution. Ensure that in your email you're offering a perfect solution wherein you will say, we are currently reviewing your problem and we will get back to you in the next 24 hours. You have to use sentences like that, because it needs to be positive also, wherein, in the end you will say, we truly appreciate your patience and we will do our level best to ensure that we resolve this at the earliest. And then in the end, always summarize it, especially when you are escalating the issue to your higher up or manager. Ensure that you summarize it in two sentences, saying something like, dear so and so, I am forwarding this mail to you for your review. This customer has reported that this is the issue. Briefly state the issue, and then we need guidance on the next steps. So you have to be polite throughout the email. The most important thing is your email needs to be calm and professional no matter what. You don't have an option there. If it is a official email, it needs to be professional. You can't, because this is written and this is proof. So anywhere you go wrong, people will hold this email, hold you responsible if any other language is used, and say that you sent me this. So be very careful when writing it. And last but not the least, when not to write an email. This is very important. When the topic is very sensitive or emotional, never put it on mail, never put it written. Call up that person and speak to that person. When immediate action is needed, say for example, there is a meeting coming up in the next 10 minutes and you suddenly send an email saying that I need this. 99% of the time, people will not see that email. So when immediate action is needed, call them up. When you are feeling angry or frustrated, never ever write an email, because that will show on paper. Your anger and frustration will show in the mail that you have sent, whether you like it or not. So when you are angry or frustrated, get up, take a walk, have coffee, take deep breaths, calm yourself, come back, and then reply to the mail. When it is confidential information, it is obvious. Yes, it depends. Like if you have permission from your corporate that you can send it, fine. But usually what happens is, we I get this question from a lot of new interns, or what do you call, new employees who have joined, wherein they say that we don't know that it is confidential, Radhika, and we just send it. So it is then that you reply with a apologetic email saying that I am new to this thing and I'm really sorry. I will ensure, I did not know about this before. You have to write it in an email. If something like that goes on, if a confidential email goes by mistake by you. And then last but not the least, it's a Monday morning, you open your inbox, and suddenly you have 30 mails in it. And of those 30 mails, 15 mails are thanks noted, one worder emails. So avoid this. Ensure, see, as a person, when you open your email, I mean, inbox and look at this, you will not like it. Important mails get missed out. So until and unless it is absolutely necessary and it is absolutely told by the opposite person that you have to send an acknowledgement of thanks, refrain as much as you can for not using it. So this is as far as we go when it comes to written communication, email writing, that we are going to cover in this webinar. We will go into more and more details in the later on webinars. We have finished the written part. Now coming to the verbal part. So it's time to wake up again, huh? I need 4 volunteers. I have 4 characters over here. We are going to do a small role play. So I need 4 volunteers. One is going to be Ria, who is overloaded with work and feeling unheard. Another is going to be Vikram, teammate usually logical but needs to listen better. Third one is the manager, who encourages solution oriented thinking. And then I want a narrator who's going to read out the scenes and the what do you call rooms. So please raise your hands for the same. It's a request from my side. And for this activity, I would really love it if you could keep your screens open. If you could keep your cameras open, please. Yes, Bindu, narrator, very good. Who else? We need more volunteers. Come on. Do we have anybody?
Suruchi, Prabharan, Tina, Sri Krishnan, Prasanna. There are many. Please volunteer. We want this as interactive. It should not be only one-sided.
Ma'am, I'm sitting in a library. I can't speak much.
Slowly
Okay.
you can. Okay.
Sri Krishnan, what about you? Could you be a character?
Yeah, of course.
Which one would you like to take? The narrator's role is already taken.
Hmm. I will take this managerial role.
Okay,
Sure.
fine. Yes. SK, can you please take up some role, please? Abhijit, Ashok,
Radhika, I volunteer for taking a double or a triple role. I don't mind.
oh, fantastic. Right, very good. So, Bindu, you can be the what do you call? You can be Ria and Vikram both, and
Perfect.
Sri Krishnan will be the manager. And Megha, would you could you be what do you call? Whom do we want?
Narrator. Narrator.
Okay, the narrator. No, I guess Vikram is left, right? Narrator is Bindu. Narrator and Ria is Bindu. And then Vikram will be you and manager will be Sri Krishna. Okay? Right. Can we start,
Sure.
please?
Yeah,
I'm not
sure,
seeing any
Radhika.
narrator.
Yes. Narrator, please start.
Yes, definitely. So this is scene one, and the frustration builds as it always does in the office atmosphere. So at the office desk, the pressure cooker. Ria's, okay, I am Ria, right? So
Yes.
Vikram, I can't finish both reports by today. It's too much.
Just manage your time better.
Oh God, that's not helpful. Did you even hear me? Now the listening shift. Break room, the wake up call.
Okay. Tell me what's overwhelming you.
2 reports, back to back meetings, and no help.
All right, let's split the work. I will handle one report.
Thank you, Vikram. That's all I needed. Scene 3, manager's approval. So, who's the manager?
Sri Krishnan.
So good that you splitted your responsibilities to take up this committed timeline meeting. So great teamwork. Okay, let's see what happens when you listen first.
Yes.
Got it. Got it. Solutions come after understanding only.
Yeah.
And not just manage your time better. Ha ha ha.
That was really
Very
good.
well done. Very well
Thank
done.
you. Thank you, Bindu. Thank you, Sri Krishna.
Thank
Pleasure.
you.
Thank you, Megha.
Yeah.
Yes. So, what happened here? A conflict arose. Initially, it was not looked into. Next, it was looked into. An approach was made. And then, in the end, there was a solution for it. So, this is the basic for conflict resolution. Whenever any kind of conflict arises, it might be small, it might be tiny, it might be huge and big. You should always follow the basic steps. Now, we are going to look at conflict resolution from three basic angles. One, we are going to cover it with the leaps approach. Two, we are going to use I statements. And three, we are going to understand how to use middle ground. You know, these three things we will be looking at immediately. So, what is LEAPS approach? LEAPS is the easiest approach that you can follow when it comes to conflict resolution. LEAPS is nothing but listen, empathize, ask or acknowledge, paraphrase or propose, and then summarize. So, what are these techniques? When, for example, you are going to the opposite person, when a conflict arises, somebody has come to you with a problem, ensure that you stop everything, not just hear, but listen. There is a difference between hearing and listening. You have to, it is basic human. We are conditioned in such a way that the moment a person talks, we listen to half of the sentence and the rest of the sentence we presume. He must have thought like this. So don't do that. Pay full attention, especially when it comes to conflict. Pay full attention to the person who is actually talking to you. Ensure that you understand the problem. That means you empathize. Whether you, what do you call, believe in him, whether you feel that his conflict is right or not, that is irrespective. But the first thing that you need to do is you need to empathize. You just have to say, I see that the details are very important to you, but okay, then you can use it. So, empathy is very, very necessary over here. The A of leaps is asking or acknowledging. That means you have to. Sometimes it so happens that when a person talks to you about their problem, we don't really understand the issue, but we hesitate to ask the opposite person about it. Don't do this. Immediately, if you don't understand something, ask the opposite person, okay, can you please explain this to me again? I need to understand it better. So here you are asking and acknowledging it. After that, propose, paraphrase or propose. You have to immediately suggest a solution for the same. So you have listened to the problem, you have empathized with the person, you have asked questions when you don't understand. Now you are proposing a solution that you feel is correct. And in the end, summarize the entire thing. Now, what happens when two people are discussing and having a problem with each other? If we do not summarize, then you will not be on the same wavelength. It might be so that you are thinking something else and the opposite person is thinking something else. So ensure that you summarize the problem saying that, okay, you came to me with this. This is the problem that you have, and this is the solution we have come to. So ensure that you use the LEAPS approach first when it comes to conflict resolution. Now, what is the second basic step? Using I statements. Now, what are these I statements? Whenever you're talking to a person, instead of saying, you never do this, you never do that, say, I don't feel that you should do like this. I don't feel that you should. So use I statements. This way, it doesn't feel as if you are accusing the opposite person. Say, for example, somebody is coming to you and they are just saying that, Bindu, you did like this. It's not right. So, it's very rude and very bad. If the same thing can be said something like, I feel that it should have been done like this, Bindu. The whole approach has changed. You don't find it accusing anymore. Correct? So, in the same way, say for example, you never listen to my ideas in the meetings. Can anybody over here use an I statement and tell me how you can change the same sentence? Yes, Tina?
I would appreciate if my ideas are better listened in the meetings so that I feel heard or I can contribute.
Very good. Excellent. Any other suggestion from anybody? Right. So, I feel unheard when my ideas are not acknowledged is something you can say. Or another example, a colleague frequently interrupts during discussions. Instead of saying, you keep cutting me off, you keep on interrupting me. How can I change that sentence to an I statement? Anybody?
I, yeah, yeah. I I suggest, can you please allow me to speak?
Very good. Yes.
Or can we also say I have observed many a times that I am
You are,
cut
yeah, yeah.
short
You are interrupting.
always.
Yeah, you are interrupting or you are cutting off.
Yes. Okay. Right. Very good. Absolutely. Both can be said. Another sentence that can be used will be something like, I feel like I don't get to share my thoughts fully without being interrupted. Same thing. We are just using I statements in three different ways. So, first thing is leaps approach. Second basic is I statement. And now the third is finding a middle ground. Now, don't confuse finding a middle ground with compromise. There is a difference. Compromise is when one person totally compromises on a particular situation. Excuse me. Finding a middle ground is nothing but wherein, when two people are fighting or when two people are disagreeing, not fighting exactly, on one particular statement, they have to look for a common option which will suit both. Excuse me. Can somebody read the example for me, please?
Yeah. Two team members disagree on a project deadline. One wants an extension for quality, while the other insists on sticking to the original timeline instead of arguing. They should? No, they should not.
So basically, here one person is saying that we need to adhere to the project deadline, and one person is saying we have to give the perfect project. So, how do they come to a middle ground? I want you to think for a few seconds and then answer. Yes, Tina, you seem to have raised your hand.
Yes, Sri Krishnan.
So here, one is to approach to this opposite party that yes, we are on the finishing stages of this project submission, and we would like to once again review before submitting an absolutely perfect project report. This is one way we can approach. Once you are done with that opposite person, obviously you have this timeline which can help you to come to a middle ground. This is my my view of looking at this statement.
Yeah, this is an actual case study.
Uh,
Yes.
there could be another dimension, I believe, wherein you can strike in a compromise between progress versus perfection. Because sometimes progress itself is enough to keep the client happy in this sprint release. So it is based on the temperatures in account management between you and the client. So if the client is already on fire, then might progress might be a choice. If the client is not on fire, then you might borrow some time from the client, telling them the roadmap on perfection, which doesn't hamper the client's goals as well.
Further,
Because
further
when the
clarity.
client buys something from you, they have to meet their goals on their side as well, right? So there's a
True.
time constraint on the client side as well. So I believe that what you need to strike is progress versus perfection. And
Absolutely.
once you're able to do that, I believe then you can go ahead.
Appreciate
I mean, that
Abhijit.
was my what I had in my mind.
Appreciate Abhijit for this
Yeah, yeah.
uh, really meaningful way of thinking.
Yes. So actually, what did they do? They broke the project into two phases, different phases. Then, in the first phase, they submitted the essential parts and met the original deadline. And then they fine tuned the rest, taking more time. This is what they actually did. So this actually happened at HP, and this is how they, what you call, found middle ground, and they could adhere to the important aspects in the deadline. At the same time, they could refine the details at a later on stage. So middle ground. Nobody compromised over here, right? Yes. So when it comes to conflict resolution, first, always start with the leaps approach. Second, use I statements. Third, find middle ground. That is very, very important. Once you do these three things, 70% of the problems are solved. They're done. The more I mean, if you have more problems, and conflict resolution is a huge topic which we will be taking on in our later on webinars. Exclusive conflict resolution will be taken once. Yes. So now that we are over with virtual communication, I mean, sorry, written communication, and then verbal communication, it is time for virtual communication. You might be thinking, oh, we've been doing this from post pandemic, we have been doing it pre pandemic. But there are so many things that we know but don't do, and we don't know also. So, to look into it more in detail, over to Megha.
Thank you, Radhika, for such an insightful explanation on the topics like email writing and conflict resolution. Moving ahead, now we have seen that in today's digital world, the way we present ourselves online is just as important as in person. Whether you are in a virtual meeting, an online interview, or even sending a video message, professionalism matters. Okay, yes, you have to be professional. So let's go over some do's and don'ts to help you make a strong impression online. But before I start or begin with these do's and don'ts, I request all of you, the first foremost do which you are supposed to, please keep your cameras switched on so that we can interact very well. I could see you all, we could have a proper interaction among us. This is also one of the part of do's and don'ts. Yes, in virtual meetings. I know some of you are at some such places where you may not be able to, but at least those who can, I will appreciate if they could switch on their cameras. Okay, to begin with, now what has happened? We have got habitual to this online meetings and webinars from the time, mostly from the time period of pandemic. And during pandemic, no norms were set how we should attend these meetings. So the way we wanted, the way everyone wanted, they used to appear in front of cameras, and you may have seen some accidents also, which happened, very funny accidents during some such meetings in front of camera. So now we are back to normal, but still we are using online platforms. So always, whenever you are using online platforms for these type of meetings, wear formal clothings or at least business casual attire. Okay? Do not show up in any sort of crumpled shirt or overly casual clothing. Okay? It might make the wrong impression if you will appear in such a way. And it's very important that when you are attending such type of meeting, you should be properly dressed. Next to talk about is, whenever you are attending any such virtual meeting, always choose a space with good lighting, okay, and minimal distraction. Do not sit in a dark room and do not have a cluttered or noisy background. Okay? A clean background also keeps the focus on you. If you will have a messy background or any distracting things behind you, the focus will get distracted towards those things and people will keep on looking at that. People don't like whatever you are trying to show. They like to see at the things which are there in your background, sorry. So always keep clean background, okay, to keep a focus on you. Next thing, always look at the camera when you're attending the meeting. Now we all like to look at our own image. This is the world of selfie, huh? All of us like to have our selfie. All of us, whenever we get a chance, we like to look at our image, and that happens when we are attending online meeting. So whenever we see our image on the screen, we start staring at it. Don't do that. Okay, do not stare at your own image, okay? Or do not glance here and there. Look into the camera when speaking. Whenever you are attending some professional meetings, this is very important. Okay? Actually, looking at the camera mimics real eye contact. That makes your communication more engaging and confident. Clear? Next, to keep in mind, that is, use your voice. You should speak at a moderate pace and also the volume, because if you rush through your words, the people might must miss important details. Okay, so always practice a steady, clear voice, like news anchors, the way they do. You can follow that also. The next part is also very important. Avoid multitasking. I don't know, because most of you have kept your camera switched off, so I don't know what you all are doing there. But okay, this is a webinar, but when you are attending the meetings, it will be very rude if you will use any of your device or you will be doing anything else instead of paying attention in the meeting. So stay focused and engaged in the meeting. Okay. Do not keep on checking your phones or browsing on other tabs or typing loudly while someone is speaking. Yes, actively listening. Correct. So many times it has been seen that in virtual meeting, people look at another screen or type away. It distracts the one who is speaking, and it also shows your lack of interest. So please stay present, not actively participate, and show professionalism. To cover the last point in this, I would like to speak about your conversation. Be respectful in your conversation. How you can be so? Wait for your turn to speak and acknowledge others. Do not interrupt others. Yes. If you imagine if you are in a discussion and someone is interrupting you again and again, so how it will appear? It will appear very rude. So don't do that. A better approach is to wait for a pause and use chat features like raising your hands in meeting to contribute effectively. Okay? I hope you have got these do's and don'ts, and by following these simple do's and don'ts, you can project confidence, professionalism, and respect in any virtual meeting. Now that we have covered these essential tips, let's take a look at a short video that demonstrates both the right and wrong ways to conduct yourself in a virtual meeting. Watch closely if you could spot the do's and don'ts we have just discussed.
We're here today to talk about online netiquette, something that has been imperative in the workplace. Firstly, here's what to do and what not to do before your online meeting. Make sure you arrive on time and allow a few minutes before the start to get settled. Be aware of your background and surroundings. Make sure nothing will distract you or your meeting participants unexpectedly. Appearances are everything, so dress appropriately. Bathrobes are best left in the bathroom. Test your functionalities and setup, and be sure your face is well lit. Frame yourself properly on the screen, from your shoulders with space between your head and the top of the screen. Leave the phone alone and turn on silent mode. Now you're ready to join the meeting. Firstly, turn your video on. It's simply courteous to the meeting organizer and attendees. If you're a participant in a big meeting, mute yourself. Be aware of the housekeeping rules from the host. They will tell you how and when to ask questions, interact, and comment. If you're in a small group meeting, you can introduce yourself and say hi to break the ice. So, let's get this meeting started. Keep your mic muted when you're not speaking. Avoid being active with your keyboard. This may disrupt your camera stability and affect your focus. Save your lunch for lunchtime and save your wine for supper. Stay seated, stay present. Now's not the time for multitasking. If speaking, speak clearly, concisely, and slowly. Be patient. Don't interrupt others when they're talking. Smile and make eye contact. Be aware of your posture. Be kind to your back and mind your gestures. Be sure to hang up and say a polite farewell to your fellow meeting goers. Congratulations, you're now a master of netiquette.
Okay, I hope you all got to know a lot. Okay, now that we have explored the importance of maintaining a strong online presence, let's shift our focus to something just as crucial. That is how we communicate and grow in professional setting. Okay, a key part of building credibility, whether online or in workplace, is how we give and receive feedback. Yes, that is very important because the way we give and receive feedback can make all the difference. If feedback is too harsh, it can feel discouraging, or if it's too vague, it may lead to improvement. Sorry, it may not lead to improvement. So, how can we strike the right balance? Okay, let us learn that with this one method. Clear? So, one such effective technique is the sandwich method, a simple yet powerful approach to giving feedback in a way that motivates and encourages improvement. Here, how it works. Okay, as you could see on your screen, there are three steps in this method. The step one talks about start whenever you are giving feedback, start with something positive. Like here, you can acknowledge a strength or past success to set a supportive tone. So, here you can talk about strength or past success of a person whom you are giving feedback. Okay. Next step, Whatever feedback, constructive feedback you want to give that. Here you can address the area of improvement with specific suggestions. Okay. And in the third step, you should end on a positive note by reinforcing. Now this will reinforce confidence, okay, by highlighting potential growth or past progress. This method, by using this method, or you can say this method only ensures that a person receiving feedback doesn't feel attacked, but instead feels motivated to improve. Okay, chalo. Now we have discussed about this. To illustrate this, let's hear a short story about a workplace scenario where feedback is given using sandwich method. And again, now I will request someone to volunteer to read this story. Who will? It's a short story, I know. We are going back in our childhood to learn something about how to give feedbacks. So please volunteer someone to read this story. Who will?
Yeah, I can.
Yes, Bindu. So nice of you.
Yeah, if anybody else wants to volunteer, please go ahead. I had my fair share of narrating and participating. Anybody, if you want to come forward, please. Else, I can. Shall I?
Yeah, please go ahead, Bindu.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, the perfect presentation, a lesson in the sandwich method. In a vibrant corporate office, Zara, a young marketing executive, had just finished presenting a new campaign idea to her team. She was excited but also a little nervous. This was her first big project and she wanted everything to be perfect. After the presentation, her manager, Mr. Roy, called her in for feedback. Zara braced herself, unsure of what to expect. With a reassuring smile, Mr. Roy began. Zara, your creativity really stood out in this campaign. The visuals were engaging and the tagline was catchy. It's clear that you put in a lot of thought and effort. Zara let out a relieved breath, feeling proud of her work. Then Mr. Roy continued. There's one thing that could make your pitch even stronger: your data points. You had great ideas, but a few more statistics to support them would make your proposal even more convincing. Maybe next time you could include some research backed insights. Zara nodded, realizing that was a valid point. She made a mental note to work on that in her next presentation. Finally, Mr. Roy concluded with encouragement. But overall, you've got a great knack for storytelling, and I can see you becoming one of our top presenters. Keep up the great work, and I'm excited to see your next pitch. Zara left the meeting not just with the areas to improve, but with renewed confidence and motivation. She felt valued and eager to refine her skills, all because her manager knew how to give feedback the right way. Thank you.
Thank you, Bindu. Thanks a lot for volunteering.
Pleasure.
Okay, okay, good. Now that you have heard the story, why we have discussed this story with you, to make you understand better the sandwich method used over here. But now I want you all to tell me the three steps which we were discussing about sandwich method, where the manager has used. First, tell me where the manager has used the first step, where you start with something positive. Can you tell me the lines where the manager is using those?
This fifth line, Zara, your creativity really stood out in the campaign. That was
Yes,
the first positive approach he has started.
yes,
Okay.
correct, correct, correct. Very correct. Now, the next question is where the manager has used the constructive feedback.
There is one thing that could make you pitch even stronger: your data points. You had great ideas, but a few more statistics to support them would make you proposal even more convincing. That is the statement where he has given the constructive feedback.
Okay, correct,
You can
correct.
correct, you can correct me if I am wrong.
No, 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 you are not. You are correct, very correct. And please help me with where the manager has used the third step where he has ended on a positive note.
You have got a great knack of for storytelling, and I can see you becoming one of our top presenters. This is the
Yes,
statement.
yes, yes, yes. Very correct, very correct. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for listening out.
Okay. So it was really, I could see a very good interactive part which we had this right now. Now, moving ahead, like this, our sandwich method ensures that the person receiving feedback doesn't feel attacked but instead motivated to improve. Okay. So now that we have seen how the sandwich method helps in giving balanced feedback, let's look at another powerful framework, the SBI method. This method helps make feedback clear, specific, and objective, avoiding vague or overly emotional statements. Now let us understand what is this feedback method which is called as SBI method. Here, S stands for situation. You are supposed to describe the specific moment or context in which the behavior happened when while giving the feedback. The next B stands for behavior, where you will focus on the observable actions, not on any assumptions or opinions, only on observable actions. Then I stands for impact, where you will explain how that behavior affected the team or work or your outcome. Let us take an example, okay? Imagine a team member frequently misses deadlines, affecting a project's progress. So always, instead of saying you are always late with your work, you might sound accusatory. So use SBI method, okay, where you will give your feedback like this. You will begin like this, where the situation will be like this. In last week's, then you will talk about the behavior. I noticed your report was submitted 2 days after the deadline. Then you will talk about the impact, which delayed our client presentation and created extra workload for the team. This way, you can use SBI method to give your feedbacks. Okay, this feedback stays fact based, constructive, and making it easier for the person to accept and act upon it. Okay, now that I have explained you this SBI method, now let's see how well you understood this method with the help of few statements. Now I will share few statements and I want you all to participate. Again, your participation is required, but this time we are going to use the chat box to give your responses. So I hope more involvement I will find this time. So you have to use the chat box to give your response. Type the statement number or numbers, which is an example of SBI method. I will share those statements with you. Now you could see on your screen these statements over there, and you have to find out which statement or statements are the examples of SBI method. Please use your chat box to give your answers. You have to write down the number of the statement, only numbers, whether statement number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which statement or statements are the example. Only write down the number in the chat box. 1 or 2. Okay.
No, no. For one, it is this is behavioral. I mean, for the first
Okay. Okay.
statement, you are
Okay.
careless with your emails. Okay.
Okay. I want you to give um, your which is the exact example of SBI method? Yes, one or two more responses I'm waiting for. Please go through it.
I think the most closer ones are 2 and 4.
Okay, thank you for your response. Others, please give your responses also. Okay, those who participated, those who didn't, whatever, but thank you everyone, okay, to be a part of this activity. Now, let's take a moment to review the answers here. Yes, statements 2 and 4 are the examples of SBI method. Okay, I hope it helped you see how the SBI method works in real life scenarios. Now that we have covered all the points of today's webinar and we completed with it, its explanation and everything, now we will be sharing feedback form with you, or we have shared a feedback form. Please check your chat box, use your chat box, fill these feedback forms because we require your feedbacks, which will be very helpful for us. Please fill these feedback forms. Okay, now in today's webinar that we have covered some valuable insights. Okay, so to summarize the key takeaways, I would like to hand it over to Radhika. Over to you, Radhika. You're on mute, Radhika.
Thank you. So, thank you so much, Megha. It was wonderful that we came to know about the SBI method, we came to know about the sandwich method, and the netiquettes. Let me put it that way. And so, yes, today we covered a lot of basics. And we started off with the first three steps of each and every section that we came up with. So, what did we learn today? We learned how to write emails that get the right response. We learned how to handle tough conversations with confidence. We handled how to shine in virtual meetings, a torchlight on your head. And then we learned how to give and receive feedbacks like a true professional. So these are the four things: attending the webinar, listening to it, and then saying bye bye. Come on, it's a Saturday. Let us enjoy Sunday. It's an enjoy. Yes, enjoy, but start using them. Until and unless you start using them practically, you will not understand how beautiful these basic steps are. And once you master the basic steps, it will be what do you call easier for you to go into in depth. So these are just the basics we covered. There is a lot more into email writing. There is a lot more into conflict resolution and lot more into giving and receiving feedbacks. So ensure that first you practice this, and then as we go forward, more and more, you will get to know as much as you can. So now it's your turn. What's one takeaway you will start applying right away? Why don't you drop it in the chat box so that we feel a lot motivated that you really are going to do it. The one thing that you will immediately start doing. The PPT and video cannot be provided, but the link will definitely be sent.
Shine in virtual meetings. Okay, good.
A torchlights. Yes.
Handling tough conversations. Yes. Good.
Of late, I am undergoing so many tough conversations. Definitely, it has helped me a lot.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for
Thank
this.
you so much.
Thank you so much for this.
Yes. And okay. So thank you everyone. It would be lovely if for 2 seconds all of you could switch on your camera so that we could click a good pic. It's a request from our side. Just for a second. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Prabhaharan.
Thank you. It is wonderful. Sorry, I was not very consistent, but I was doing some work. But it was really interesting listening.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so
Thank
much.
you. Yes, Radhika, Tina, Bindu, Chitra, Suruji, Sonal. If you could switch on the camera, we will take a small pic of us.
Okay, they must be busy with something or the other.
Yeah,
Let's click a pic
Radhika,
like
my
this. It's a
apologies. My apologies. I'm rushing to Gurgaon. I delayed it by 1 hour and I'm rushing now. The cab is already there. Thank you.
Okay, okay. We can understand.
okay. Right. So thank you so much. If you have any question and answers, please feel free to ask. And coming up next is how to use emotional intelligence at workplace. So that is a very, very important concept these days. That is something which we will be coming up in a few days. We will let you know once we are up with the dates and everything. So, how to understand the hidden superpower for professional success is through emotional intelligence, and that is something we'll be looking into in our next webinar. So, if there are any questions, please unmute and ask or send it in the chat box. Okay, right? Since everything seems to be good, thank you so much for attending this webinar. It's been wonderful interacting with all of you. Looking forward to more and more webinars with you all. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.